We're into November, and that means that the winter sports season is quickly approaching. For the Left Bench TV, I'm Danielle Stein.
And I'm Alex Flum, and with that, today we have our winter sports preview show. So let's get right into it with our rapid fire recap, recapping last year's winter sports season. There was certainly a lot of excitement around Maryland basketball last year. Both teams started the year in the national title conversation.
Powered by Brianna Jones in the paint and Shatori Walker Kimbrough outside, the women's team rolled through the regular season.
But in the second round of the NCAA tournament, the 7th-seeded Washington Huskies came into College Park with an upset in mind and downed the Terps.
I just remember how I felt after that game last year, and that's something I don't want my freshmen to feel.
I mean, we used it, obviously, as motivation in our off season. When you talked about when we came back, kind of to close the chapter in the spring and the summer. But for me, you know, when we started a new season, that was a past team. And this is a new season with new players.
With 4 seniors gone, Maryland will have to rely on their young talent this year.
Now on the men's side, new names like Diamond Stone, Robert Carter Jr. brought high expectations along with them to the team last year.
And like the women's team, the men didn't do much losing during their regular season until the very end.
Yeah, the Terps lost 4 of their last 6 regular season games, and after first and second round wins, lost in the Sweet 16 to Kansas.
Now Mello Trimble and DeMonte Dodd are back, but Mark Turgeon has a new look team on his hands.
Reminds me of the team 2 years ago. We had a lot of depth and we had a lot of versatility. Reminds me of that team. So-and-so's not playing well, we can throw someone else in there. If he's not playing well, might even be able to throw somebody else in there.
The wrestling team picked up their first Big Ten win last season, but struggled through the year.
Redshirt sophomore Alfred Bannister is expected to lead the Terps this season.
The simplest thing is we want to get better. We want to get better every day. You know, we have our team mission statement. It says, better than I was yesterday, but not as good as I'm going to be tomorrow. And that's what we do. We want to get better every day in every aspect.
And finally, Maryland gymnastics. They struggled with injuries last season, but with 4 seniors back and 6 incoming freshmen, they should be ready to go this year.
Let's slow it down.
We're all going to take the pressure on, you know, upon ourselves, and we're not just going to depend on one person. So we have plenty of guys that can close games on defense and offense.
Yeah, we have a great group, and our guys like each other, and I think there's 3 young guys that are further along than the rest of them.
Just felt really comfortable with the coaching staff, and you know, once I visited campus, saw campus, you know, met everyone on the team, and you know, saw a little bit of the offense. You know, I just loved every part of it.
Not really worried about what people say about us. We just want to go out there and just play basketball, and you know, hopefully just prove everybody that you know we could be a top team.
With more on men's basketball, we have Justin Meyer of the Left Bench here to talk more about what's going to be happening this upcoming season. So last year they had a bit of a disappointing season, ending in the Sweet 16. They had a lot of high expectations at the beginning of the year. So how is their mindset coming off of that loss going to affect their play this year?
Well, Danielle, I don't think it was a disappointing season. This is the first time Maryland's been in the Sweet 16 since 2003. The program's been through some rough times the last 15 or so years since the national championship. And to get back to the Sweet 16 is a pretty big accomplishment. So I don't know that it was a disappointing season, maybe based on preseason expectations, but on the whole, I don't think it was. This year, I think their mindset will not be like it was last season. The expectations are much lower. Turgeon and a lot of the players I've spoken to have said that it reminds them of the team from 2 years ago. Like I said, a lot lower expectations. They should be able to play a lot smaller. Last year, they didn't have as much depth at the guard after Wiley got hurt. But this year, they have a wealth of guard play. So I think you should expect to see a lot more small ball than last year, which was a lot more focus on the bigs.
So you bring up Wiley, so obviously he was out last season. What can we expect from him coming back off of his injury?
Well, you know, DeMonte Dodd told me a story at Big Ten Media Day. Deion Wiley in a pickup game was going up for a layup. 3 guys coming up to block him. He hangs in midair and goes around and goes under the rim and makes the layup. And DeMonte was like, thought to himself, wow, not a lot of guys can do that. That's not something that's taught. That's something that you're born with. And Wiley says that he feels a lot better. And I don't think anyone really knows what to expect, anyone who's not actually at every practice, but we're going to see.
And how about the freshmen? What can we hear about them?
Well, Turgeon also said that he would be surprised if Anthony Cowan isn't the fastest player in the Big Ten this year. Cowan is definitely a very tough on-ball defender, very aggressive. At the scrimmage, he was giving Melo Trimble fits. Herter is known for his three-point shot, and you can expect him to help stretch the floor with that. And Justin Jackson, he's 6'7". He's got a 7'3" wingspan, but Turgeon says he plays like a guard. So with those players, particularly Jackson, don't be surprised if you see 4 guards out there on the court at any given time, considering Jackson as a guard.
So with all these new freshmen on the team, how have the other players kind of adapted to become more of leaders on the team, and who has kind of stepped into that role as a leader on the team?
Well, from what I've seen, it seems as though it's Trimble, Dodd as well, Wiley, Nickens, Brantley, all the guys who are returning. When you have so many new guys, you need the guys who are returning to help show the newcomers the ropes. Dodd told me another story where in a pickup game, Dodd told Trimble, get the ball to Wiley because he's hot. And Trimble goes, I know. Like, you don't, this is my team. You don't have to tell me that. And, so Trimble knows that he's an upperclassman now, that he's the focal point of this team, and that it goes through him.
All right, so we're going to end with some quick hits. So who would you think is the most important player on the team?
Well, like I just said, probably Melo Trimble. He's the most nationally recognizable player. He's probably the most talented player on the team. Last season, a little bit of a disappointment at times, but this is a lot different team. And I think that the roster this season fits Trimble's skill set better. It'll be, like I've said, more like the team from 2 years ago.
And with the roster, what is the most important game we have all season?
Well, I think the one that people are going to circle for sure is the final game of the year. Michigan State comes here March 5th. That'll be senior night. That'll be the last game of the regular season. Michigan State is going to be a different team this year than past years. Izzo, for the first time in maybe ever, is going to be playing a lot of freshmen. They are expected to be a big-time player in the Big Ten, potential winner of the league, and the crowd's going to be hostile for that. So I would say that game.
So last but not least, what are your predictions for this upcoming season?
Well, I think it's tough to say because there are so many new faces to this team, and even if they're not new, there's a lot of guys who haven't got playing time in the past who are going to play a significant role in this team. I would say maybe like 7, 8, 9 seed range, and I think from there you could see anything from a first-round exit to a deep run. I'm not sure. I think it's too early to say.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And you guys can follow Justin all season long on theleftbench.com as he's going to be covering the team. And the men's team will be starting their season off against American on November 11th. And with more on the women's team, we have Alex Flum.
All right, and we now have Rachel McNair of CNS here at Maryland, a former basketball star for George Mason University. Rachel, let's talk some Maryland women's basketball right now. Last year, obviously, they had, not the season they wanted to have, falling in the second round to Washington. What's the mindset for the team coming off of a loss like that in the early tournament?
I think the mindset is for them to just be determined to get over the hump. I was at the media day last week, and I was talking to Brianna Jones, and she was talking about they still have a sour taste in their mouth from that game, and they're using that as motivation to just take one game at a time and to make sure they don't feel that same way this year.
Okay, and then 4 seniors gone: Brene Mosley, Melina Howard, Tierney Furman, Chloe Pavlik. How are they going to make up for the leadership that they've lost and the on-court talent that they've lost?
Well, they have the #1 recruiting class coming in, so they have 6 freshmen, and then they also have a transfer, Aisha Smalls, who will be playing. I really have a lot of confidence in this freshman class. Brenda Fries on media day, she talked about they aren't playing like freshmen. So that's a step. And I think that they have a lot to bring to the table, and they're also led by Kyla Charles. So we'll see if they can really, carry the reins for them.
Now, Charles, she's a local player, correct?
Yeah, she's a local player. She was also a McDonald's All-American. And Brenda Fries talked about her leadership already that she's showing, and she comes from an Olympian background. Her mom ran in the Olympics, and when I was talking to her at the media day, she talked about how her Olympic background has helped her to kind of pick it up a notch in basketball and to push herself to be the best that she could.
All right, and then additionally to her, they have Shatori Walker-Kimbrough coming back, and it's her last season. What would it mean for her to be able to, go all the way, win a title this year?
I think it would mean the world to her. She talked about leaving Maryland with legacy. She wants to leave Maryland better than when she came. And so far, I think she's been doing well because, she was leading the Division I basketball with 3-point field goal percentage. So, she's doing big things, and I think she just wants to take it up a notch this year.
All right, so Rachel, let's do some quick hits right now. Most important player on this team?
Okay, I'm going to have to say there's two. Okay,
that's all right.
Okay, so Shatori Walker-Kimbrough and Brianna Jones. They're just double trouble. Brianna takes care of the paint while Shatori takes care of the wing. These two, they're the core of the team. They're needed. Brianna Jones was leading in field goal percentage on the team. She was 66.5%. So to have someone that efficient on your team, it's just contagious. So I think that just having her, Shatori, that'll help this team to go really far.
Okay, and now with that being said, do you have a prediction for this season? Last year fell in the second round, as we mentioned. What happens this year?
Okay, so I think they're gonna have 30 wins again. I'm trying to think.
Sweet 16, Elite 8, they go into the Final Four, maybe a title?
I'm gonna say Sweet 16 to be safe because I know they have a young team and everything, but with that, Brenda Fries always finds a way. So I think Sweet 16.
All right, Rachel, well, thank you for joining us today. We really appreciate it. Maryland women's basketball starts their season off Sunday, November 13th at 1 p.m. They will take on UMass Lowell in that one. All right, now let's move on to some wrestling. Danielle, I understand at Wrestling Media Day you found a freshman with an interesting story.
That's right. We met Spencer Woods, and he is the only student athlete at Maryland who can say that he comes from Alaska.
All right, well, let's take a look at it.
There are 19 athletic teams at the University of Maryland, but only one of those Terrapin athletes can say he or she is from the state of Alaska. One of the biggest changes for Spencer Woods has been the weather.
I think I'm actually acclimated to the weather here. My mom came down like 2 weekends ago, and she was in a tank top, wearing shorts, and I'm wearing jeans and a sweater. And she's like, you lost it. And they're like, you're acclimated. You gone soft. I'm like, I'm cold, Mom.
Woods hails from a small town of just over 3,000 people called Cotsby.
33 miles above the Arctic Circle. You have to fly in. There's no roads that go in and out.
Because of the town's size and its location, Woods' recruiting process was unique compared to the wrestlers throughout the rest of the country.
I don't know of any coaches that come up there. And so everything is all down stateside for tournaments and stuff like that.
In Woods' case, it was his high school coach, Mark Lane, who helped him get the connection. Lane's wife, Marcy Van Duzen, competed as an American freestyle wrestler in the 2008 Olympics in Beijing.
Because she's on the Olympic committee and Carrie's on the Olympic committee, it was sort of this nice connection.
Marcy then told Maryland head coach Kerry McCoy about Woods.
Later that summer I came down, checked out the campus, and just loved everything about it. It's the only school I applied for.
Now that he's settled in College Park, Woods gets asked frequently about his time in the 49th state.
First they asked me if I'm serious, like, are you really from Alaska? I'm like, yeah, I'm really from Cotsby, Alaska. The second question is always just bizarre. Do you see penguins every day? I'm like, no penguins, they're from Antarctica.
Woods has enjoyed getting to know his teammates' diverse backgrounds.
It's mostly East Coast. That's what I like about everyone. It's just such a different culture. Everyone's just so positive, and I just learned a lot from everyone. They challenged me, and hopefully I challenged them.
This season, Woods will be redshirting, working on improving his sport and balancing out his weight.
Hopefully I don't get too big. I've been gaining a lot of weight. Originally, I came here to wrestle at 157. Now I'm at 74, and this Monday I was at 190.
For the Left Bench TV, I'm Max Marcilla.
Now, Woods and the rest of the wrestling team are off from tournaments for the next few weeks, but will be back in College Park for their first home match on December 11th against Rutgers.
Now, we don't like to get too political on this show, usually just like sticking to sports, but for those of you that don't like Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump, we found the perfect third-party candidate at Maryland Basketball Media Day. Have a look.
As we welcome the Democratic nominee for president, Secretary Clinton, and the Republican nominee for president, Mr. Trump.
The year 2016 has been all about the presidential election.
Today, in a very beautiful hotel down the street, known as Trump.
Made with Chinese steel.
But I will tell you, I sat there.
But for many people, neither candidate is a very appealing choice. At Maryland Basketball Media Day, I asked members of the team to pick one of their own to lead the free world.
I don't know. That's a tough one.
It's tough because even Bender is not from USA. And
That's scary. If I had to pick one, I'd pick probably myself.
myself, without a doubt.
If I had to pick someone that I would vote for on this team to run for president, and just to be serious, to run the country, I'd probably pick Kent Auslander.
Ken Auslander.
Kent's a good one. Kent could be the vice president.
Kent? Yeah, Kent would be good. I'd go Herder. But Kent could be his running mate.
It could be Kent, yeah. I mean, I can see it.
I'll probably go with Kent also because everybody else,
I think he can run this country.
So I've been taking a poll, Ken, about of the people on the team, and when I ask who should run for president on this team, most people have said you. Can you tell me why that is?
Probably, I think I have the highest GPA, #1.
I think he's a smart guy.
Probably just the most mature.
Just a very, very serious person.
How does it feel just to know that your team thinks you could lead the free world?
It's actually pretty cool. Definitely something that put a smile on my face.
I have to say, some of those Terps were pretty convincing, and I think I'm going to have to vote for Kent now.
Well, if you guys want to vote for Kent Auslander, Tuesday, November 8th, make sure to go to your local polling station. You'll have to write him in, though, but that will be enough.
It's okay. Terps are presidents. I can see it now.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today's winter sports season preview. I'm Alex Flum.
And I'm Danielle Stein. We'll see you next time.